Even though you have genes, it doesn't mean that you're doomed. So the genes that a lot of people think that are fixed are like pathological genes. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about DNA SNPs, which are subtle variations in our DNA that run our cellular pathways. And if they're not working optimally as we age, they start to malfunction. And it all depends on multiple events your whole life that you've been exposed to.
Welcome to Life Changing Money, a podcast all about one of the most taboo topics in the world, money. I'm your host, Barbara Strehans, and we're going behind the scenes on business owners' journeys to money, success, and wealth. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Life Changing Money. I am so excited that we have Dr. Laura Fortner here today. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here too.
So Dr. Laura and I met at a retreat last year, and that is why I freaking love retreats, is for the people that you get to meet and interact with. Like, honestly, it is less to do with like what I'm learning about or the topics or even the theme. But I feel like we can always come out of a retreat with like a really great connection and collaboration.
Yeah, I think the personal connections are it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the network and the just building the bonds to be able to help elevate you in whatever you're doing. So I love that about retreats. Yeah, and it was a great retreat. Yeah.
And we were just talking about this before the show started too. It's like you were thanking me for the people in the room. I think that's really important, is to like, a lot of business coaches, I think, don't filter out some people in their groups. They're just like, oh, whoever wants to pay me can pay me to be there. And we really try to like curate it so that you can come out of these things with like business best friends, because entrepreneurship can be really lonely.
It can be lonely. And in fact, I think most entrepreneurs feel super lonely at times. And this mastermind we just got off of, the Council Mastermind, was really incredible. The group of people that you're curated, the content, everything was really elevated for me. And I am so thankful that I did it. Yeah.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So you guys, she was an ObGyn delivering beautiful little babies, and now she is the DNA doctor. So what prompted you to start learning about how people's DNA works?
Yeah, so like a lot of women going through the transition, perimenopause, menopause, I significantly had a lot of symptoms, just like everyone else. And we could talk about those, but I did not feel well. And the other thing that happened is my dad was declining with dementia, and my brother died at the age of 49. And that really, really deeply affected me, to the point that, you know, I am an MD. I'm a traditional board certified ObGyn, women's health expert. I've been practicing for over 30 years, and just realized that the modern day medical sort of model wasn't working. And what could I do so that I could have a chance to live longer but healthier for my kids? Because I did have a baby at 40. I was worried about being there for all the events in her life. Yeah. And that were important to me. And so that kind of led me down the path of functional medicine and functional DNA genomics and getting certified.
Bet a lot of your colleagues, though, might have been like, this other stuff doesn't work. Why are you just not doing traditional medicine?
Yeah. It is unfortunate, although I do think there's a revolution going on right now in medicine, that people do want more. They want to know root cause. They want to stop this Band-Aid system of going to the doctor when you get diagnosed to get treatment. They want to know beforehand. They want to have the ability to prevent, to know how their body will function at its optimum best. And right now, you go to the doc, you essentially have to, you know, most of them will say like, oh, your labs are fine. We don't need to do anything right now. But you know, you don't feel fine. You know, and especially women, we know something's off. Like, we know our bodies. Yeah. And it's frustrating.
And within normal range doesn't mean I feel my best.
Totally. And that's because your blood work does not match actually really what's going on at the deep cell level. And that's where the sort of tap is happening in medicine. It's like there are subtle changes that happen over time for decades before you get overt disease.
Yeah.
And what I decided to do, because of course, when you have a family member that has dementia or then passes away, like my father just did, this past year, it really does affect you to what can I do? Can I prevent something like this? And the old traditional medicine model was, well, you're doomed.
Yeah.
Your genetics say you're doomed. That's not true. That is not true.
Yeah. Like when you go to the doctor for the first time and you fill out all those million paperworks and it's like, do you have these things in your medical history? Because then they're just kind of stereotyping you to have those things as well. So what can our DNA tell us?
Yeah. So exciting. Evolutionary medicine, really at its finest, it's really personalizing and getting to your encyclopedia view. So if I just back up a little bit, our DNA instructs our cells how to work.
And is this a blood test?
No, it's actually a cheek swab.
Okay.
So very simple to do. You can easily get it delivered to your doorstep and send it back to the lab.
From Dr. Laura.
Yeah. And what I love about it is it will tell us these small variations that we know we can look at and say, okay, these cellular pathways in your body may start to become suboptimal for you as you age, as you get triggers. So we know it's really epigenetics. So if you've ever heard about what that is, it's kind of the expression of your genes. Even though you have genes, it doesn't mean that you're doomed. Now, I'm talking about, so the genes that a lot of people think that are fixed are like pathological genes. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about DNA SNPs, which are subtle variations in our DNA that run our cellular pathways. And if they're not working optimally as we age, they start to malfunction. And it all depends on multiple events, your whole life that you've been exposed to, your environment, your lifestyle, your diet, your thoughts, your feelings,
change
trauma,
your DNA?
Childhood trauma, all of that can change the expression of your genes.
Mm.
And what the exciting thing is you have the ability to control this if you want. If you want to get down to what you have been dealt with in terms of these DNA SNPs, and you want to know what you're prone to in the future or now, or why you're having your symptoms now, like and cut to the chase exactly for you, then you want your DNA done. I mean, it's so profound what it can tell you about your body.
Is this I hear a lot of people, and my husband has it, MTHFR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that a gene? Or
that is a DNA SNP. So it's the same thing I'm talking about. And what you want to look out for, so there are people testing for all these DNA SNPs out there, and you really want to make sure you're getting it from a medical perspective, medical DNA. There are a lot of people doing like nutritional DNA genomics, which is good, but you're not getting the full picture of your entire body. If you want to know the medical end, you want a full body. And wonderful thing is you get it one and you don't have to keep continually getting the test because it will be there. And it's basically going to tell us everything from, if we think about the chronic diseases that we tend to die from as we age, heart disease, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, inflammatory processes, autoimmune disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, those kind of things. It'll tell us about those for you. But it also, for women, like I like to really boil it down to symptoms, because I know when I was going through perimenopause, menopause, and I'm menopausal now, but the symptoms I had were fierce.
We'll go through those. But selfishly, okay, I'm 35. When does someone go through perimenopause or know that it's starting to happen?
Yeah, typically late 30s, 40s, late 30s and 40s. And then the average age of menopause is around 52. Menopause, the definition of that is 1 year, no period.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's kind of how you tell. Now, subtle things can start to happen that women notice. Mood changes, maybe a slight anxiety or depression that they never had before. brain fog, like not thinking clearly, overwhelm, weight gain. Like, gosh, I could look at a piece of bread and gain weight just by looking at it, right? Like those kind of things, even though you go to the doctor and you tell them about these things and they're like, everything's fine, you're normal, it's your age.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to accept these things because it's not your body working at its optimum, and your DNA can tell you that.
Okay, I think let's go through some common things that women or even men can experience, and maybe some things that can help. So if someone just feels tired all the time.
So tired can be multiple reasons. This is why the DNA is so nice, because it could be a methylation defect, like the MTHFR that you're talking of. My fatigue, it could also be a thyroid problem. It could be, which we will see. It could also mean that you have an autoimmune or sort of inflammatory process going on, and infection. So there's so many entities that fatigue could be. So it's really nice to have the DNA analysis to know, where do we need to look? And for me, I had pretty severe fatigue. That was one of my biggest things I actually used to. So my husband's a farmer, and I actually would wait for him to go milk, and then I would go take a nap so he wouldn't know that I was so tired.
Oh,
I was hiding my naps.
wow.
That's how tired I was. And it turns out with me, I not only had a major methylation defect, it wasn't MTHFR, it was something actually in a different part of that cellular pathway. But I also had a thyroid thing where I don't make active thyroid in my brain very well. And so both of those things combined were things that I really needed to address.
How do you fix that when your brain's not?
Yeah. So the methylation defect, there's multiple different, depending on the pathway, like it could be methylated B vitamins that you need. You might need something called folinic acid, which is what I take. So there's different parts of that pathway. In terms of the thyroid issue, I actually had to go on active T3 because that wasn't being made in my brain well at all. So
we talked about this yesterday with a group of ladies. What about for all the women that can't poop regularly?
Yes. And, there is a lot with that as well. It's not just, it's digestive issues, right? It's motility issues of your gut. It could be, autoimmune issues. It could be so many factors. So looking at the DNA can really be helpful to decide, can magnesium help you to kind of move that stuff along? Or do you need something else, And so it's really good to get down to the deep root cause so that you can cut to the chase. I think that's the most powerful thing this test did for me, is it cut to the chase, because I was so overwhelmed.
Yeah, stop guessing.
Yeah, guessing. And being an MD, it's like, in all of you women out there looking at social media, like how many people are talking about this and all their advice. It's really hard to know what to do. And you're trying this supplement here, you're trying this sleep over here, you're trying this diet over here, right? And if it's not working and you're just tired of chasing it, the DNA will cut to the chase.
Is that also when, it's a DNA test, right? To test for breast cancer?
So that is a pathological gene, the BRCA gene. But what we know, which is interesting, I love to bring this up, is the BRCA gene has been around for centuries. But in the 70s and 80s, it got switched on to now we have an increase in breast cancer. So this gene was around.
So Dr. Laura, why do you think it got turned on in the 70s and 80s?
Well, I think that there's a lot to be said about our food and how we're eating and the environment that we're in, the toxins that we breathe, like the things we're exposed to really can change the expression of our genes.
How do we fix environment though?
Yeah. Well, you have to start with you. Right? You have to start with getting to know your body, what you need to do for it. And for instance, like, I don't know if you want to share, Barb, about your journey, but like you were tested and you had some toxins going on. And that is one of the major reasons why women can't lose weight as well, because of having that toxic burden in your system. And we can see if you're able, on this test, we can actually see if you're able to get rid of toxins well in your body. If your pathways work well, your liver's working well, your pathways work well to get rid of waste. And if they don't, we need to optimize that and maximize that to be able to do that.
I imagine when someone takes this test, there's like, or maybe I'm just thinking of me, that there's like 70 things that are wrong.
So it can be overwhelming. The test would be like 100 pages. It's like an encyclopedia of you, your book of you and how your cells are run, right? And so we could do it in a stepwise fashion. We usually work on your symptoms and what's going on with you first, before you deep dive into all these things. But what I love is you always have it. So when something comes up for you, go back to your DNA and say, what did that say? It's kind of like a little mining for gold, I like to say. It's like, okay, this is now you have infertility. Okay, let's look at what are the pathways that affect that and how can we optimize your health for that? What do you need to eat? What supplements could you take to really help your body? And lifestyle things,
Do you and your husband think on the same page about all this kind of stuff?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I was going through functional medicine and DNA training, and he actually came down with Lyme disease.
Wow.
Chronic Lyme. And that's a whole other episode to tell. But
is that from a tick?
Yes. So he's a farmer, so he is at risk, and we live in Ohio. And what's interesting is he got it in September, but wasn't diagnosed until 6 months later. He kept getting misdiagnosed and seeing different providers.
Did he find a tick though? Did he know that he ever got bit?
No, he didn't even know he got bit.
Oh.
And so that's what a lot of people don't even know when this happens. But his chronic symptoms were really cumbersome for him. I mean, he's a fit guy, worked all day, and he couldn't do the things he needed to do, which was very odd. And so when we did his DNA, in fact, it turned out that he had inflammatory pathways that wouldn't shut off in his body because, it kept signaling, you've got Lyme, I got to get rid of it. So that inflammation process never turned off after trying to get rid of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so we optimized him with what his DNA said. And he, to this day, his physical symptoms are totally gone now.
Wow.
Which is incredible. Yeah. And so I feel like if you really focus on what your body says on how to optimize it through that sort of analysis and really work towards it over the next 6 months to a year, you can totally change your body. I did that.
What are your thoughts on like testosterone and hormone therapy for men or women?
Yeah. I think they're fantastic if they're candidates, and they need it. And what's interesting is my report. So I have a dementia gene. My dad.
Yeah, your dad.
Dementia. And technically, you would say I would have a 30% risk of getting dementia now. And the standard like American risk is around 9%. Okay, so a pretty significant hike compared to everybody else.
3 times like.
Yeah. But when you look at my DNA, which actually was really reassuring to me, if I took hormone replacement therapy, it went down to 14%.
Wow.
And I think this is where, and testosterone too, there are lots of studies to show actually really big benefits for women in brain health and other areas. And so, but you do need someone that knows what they're doing with it. And you want body identical hormones, but some people are not candidates. And that's the other thing is it's personalized medicine here. Some people should not be on it.
I was told that I shouldn't. So my testosterone is crazy low.
Okay.
Like really, I don't even know the numbers, but it was like 5% of what it was supposed to be. But when I was doing like functional medicine-ish, they said I shouldn't be on it because I've had melanoma multiple times. And they think maybe I can create growths of tumors, right?
Interesting.
But then every doctor is different. So I'm like, what's right and what's wrong?
Yeah. Some of the DNA testing, we have hormone panels and we go through some of the hormonal risk and benefit ratio. And that's what I think people need a curated plan for themselves. And you need to have the data. And unfortunately, the serum levels don't reflect a lot of times really what's going on at the deep cell level. And when you have all the data, you can make informed decisions based on, is this really true? Like, is this what my body's going to do? And when we look at our hormone panel, we look at how fast you are creating testosterone in that pathway and how fast you're chopping it back up, right? So I wonder if one of your enzymes works in overdrive and that's why your testosterone looks low on serum. I don't know. But there's...
I'll do the test. I'll do the
yes,
test.
That would be amazing. We can get back on here and share your results.
Yeah. We'll do a live. How messed up is Barbara?
I think people would want to know.
All the trauma.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting. The test also talks about melanoma. And there's several DNA SNPs that increase your risk for melanoma.
Oh. All right. Send me the thing.
Yeah.
I love seeing all your trips with your kiddos.
Thanks.
What do you do with your kids, like knowing all this information?
Yeah. Well, of course, kids are funny, right? They look at their mom and they say they don't think she's a physician or knows what she's doing, right? So it's kind of like a step-by-step little thing for me. However, they all actually are getting tested this next month because I've been doing some great things with this DNA testing and I'm going to test them all.
What are just some like good general ways to help our kids be healthier?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is sugar, ultra processed food. I know this is easier said than done. Like, I get it, but it is deadly. And when you really know the science behind fructose and what we're ingesting and what it does to your body, it's so bad.
Anything that ends in ose, right?
Yes.
Not just fructose.
Right. But I think fructose is the main, it's really bad. Yeah.
Okay.
So really, definitely, I would say stay away from the sugar, ultra processed food and get your kids moving. That also easier said than done, I know. But in that whole thing right there, those two things could make major impact for the entire generation coming up. Now, one thing I will say about childhood obesity, Barb, it is an epidemic.
Yeah.
And insulin resistance and prediabetes are now being diagnosed in little children, and we've never had that before in medicine. And we know that our food source is doing this, right? It's changing us biologically. However, moms pregnant can actually turn on expression of genes already when babies come out. And we know that these children coming out already have turned on these obesity genes, these DNA SNPs that I'm talking about.
Is it because the mom is obese?
Not always. I mean, sometimes you can get DNA SNPs called skinny fat, right? Genes and that kind of thing. And so she could have had it turned on based on what she's been eating. And then these kids come out and they have these DNA SNPs already turned on. And it's not their fault if they're overweight. They can't help themselves. They've got these pathways that aren't working well to signal that they're full, that they should stop eating, that they don't need to eat. They don't have those pathways working well in them.
So are you a fan of GLP-1s?
Well, I think it's personalized medicine. So here's the thing. There's problems with going off. If you're not really getting to the cellular pathway of what the problem is with, so that you don't gain the weight back and you don't go right back into insulin resistance, you need to know that information. And you can know it. It's available to you through DNA. You can know it. And so you can actually then maintain what you've done holistically without being on them. Because who's going to be on it the rest of their life? I don't know. I mean, I do think there's a place though, because some people can't get it started, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And then once they get that confidence, like I've lost a little weight, I feel like I can do this.
They can move better.
Then the transition. It's that transitioning period that I think needs to be dealt with. And you can tell through DNA what cellular pathways are really not working well with them and how to help them get to it in terms of longevity wise, holistically through food and natural ways instead of just GLP-1s. I mean, I know you can actually make your own GLP-1, but what happens when you're taking the big doses, you're not going to make your own. So you need to learn how to make your own.
Yeah, that's important. Well, I know now that everyone has just listened to this episode and they're like, wait, I'm tired, or I can't poop, or I can't lose weight, or I just feel like crap. They're going to want to get their DNA tested. So where's the best place that they can find you?
Yeah, so they can just find me on Instagram. Just DM me, Dr. Laura Fortner. And yeah, I'd be happy to talk to them.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Life Changing Money. Don't forget to subscribe, and I would love if you left a review and shared it with your friends. See you next time.